Okay guys, let's see what else we could find for today's topic. Oh yeah, that's nice. See, look at this tree here. First of all, this is a Ruhini tree. Alright, so uh, you could see some disturbances happen on the bark of the tree. I'll just first show you the overall structure of it, texture of it, so that you could actually understand. So this is how the real pattern of the bark was, and now you see here. Yeah, so there is some animal which has been utilizing this particular tree very regularly. That's why you see the whole skin of the tree has wiped off, or just due to the scratches or the rubbing made by the animals. By looking at this, I mean the information, the pattern of the scratch marks over here, we could understand there are two different species actually has been utilizing this same tree for their different uses, or almost for yeah, for the different uses actually. Yeah, so the higher part, so the higher part of this is being utilized by the deers, probably the spotted deers. If I take my camera much closer, you can see the deep linings. Yeah, the deep linings in this stem of the tree, or the bark of the tree, basically. See, trunk of the tree, which clearly tells us these are the signs made by the antlers of the deer. Okay, so usually when the spotted deer get their fresh antlers every year, so they come out with the velvet cloth on the covering, on the covering of their antler. So once it grows into the full size, they try to rub and remove it from the trees. So they take the help of these trees. And there's also the other purpose of the tree is basically they rub their antlers very frequently, so that they can actually keep their antlers much sharper and in good condition. Okay, so one is this. Another one, if you come much down, much lower side, okay, so texture over here is very rough, and the texture over here is quite smooth, and there is also a mud stuck on the trunk of this tree. Okay, which means this has been utilized by a smaller size animal, which is about 2 feet, 2.5 feet from the ground. Yes, 2.5, 3 feet from the ground, not much, 2.5, 2 to 3 feet from the ground. Yeah, so it should not be more than 2.5 feet. Okay, so there is some animal. I mean, this is some animal which is much smaller when we compare it with the other information on the trunk of the tree there. So we have now understood that this is of a spotted deer and this is of a wild boar. So how we could say this is a wild boar is basically by looking at the information left by the animal on the tree. Okay, so see, if usually wild boars love to, I mean, lay themselves in the muddy area. Okay, so for which they I mean the mud actually gets stuck down to their skins, and to remove that they come and scratch on these trees. So because of the regular scratching, this becomes much smoother. Okay, so if I take this much down, see, this particular part over here is very rough, and only this particular place over here, this space over here is much smoother, which means this wild boar has been coming very regularly over here and trying to rub their body on this trunk, because of which the bark became much smoother, and as well as the uh, they have left the mud, on the tree trunk over here. Okay, so this is a very clear and a classic example of two different species, how to identify two different species utilizing a same tree. Okay, so say the lowest part of the trunk over here is not being disturbed, or it's not being utilized very clear much I mean very clearly, because this is probably be the height of the leg of a wild boar, and this would be the size of the body. Yeah, the upper body over here, the size of the body. So this gives a lot of information for us. Okay, for a naturalist, this is our classroom. All right, and every little step uh, is kind of an education for us. There is lot of information for us to talk about. So I cannot just elongate this video for a longer period of time, because it becomes very difficult to upload it in a social media platform for people. I mean, for people to have the tolerance of listening to the every word what we try to speak. Okay, so the another way of understanding the track roads or the track routes of the animals, which we call it as pagdandi in Hindi. There's a way of actually understanding them. Okay, so if you see the soil, or if you see the humus, is not, if you see from our angle, for a human perspective angle, it's quite difficult to understand where the pagdandis are. Everything looks so dense, everything looks so uh, confusing. So when you come to the height of an animal, of an actual animal, say for example like a deer, or you know or a wild boar or a sambar deer, you just have to come down to their height. So when I bring my camera down to this position, to the height of an animal approximately, now you could see the roads, you could see the highways of animal utilizing this as their tracks. Okay, so you need to come down from your height level to the animal height level to understand the various routes being utilized by the animals. Okay, so this here, and there is no road over here. See, you don't have a road over here, but the pagdandis are very narrower and very clearly visible in this particular height. All right.